The ground shakes beneath you. Not a tremor, a full bone-deep convulsion, as if the frozen earth itself is trying to throw you out of your foxhole. Shells are landing all around your position in the woods outside the village of Foy, Belgium. The trees above you splinter and crack, sending jagged wooden shrapnel raining down on your position. You press yourself deeper into the unyielding ground, helmet pulled tight, knees drawn to your chest, and you realize something that chills you even more than the 10 below zero air. Your artillery has 12 rounds left. 12. That's it. After that, you're on your own. You're a paratrooper with the 101st Airborne Division, and you're surrounded at Bastogne. There are roughly 40 men in your platoon, or there were when this started. You've watched that number shrink every day. The Germans outnumber you by at least 3 to 1, maybe more on your stretch of the line. They have tanks, they have food, they have ammunition. You have a rifle, a dwindling handful of cartridges, and a pair of boots that don't fit. Your feet turned black from frostbite days ago, and now, through the trees, you hear something that makes every nerve in your body go taut. German voices, shouting across the bitter darkness. Death. Tomorrow, you die. What's your next move? Where do you run when you're surrounded? How do you fight when the ammunition is nearly gone and your feet are frozen solid beneath you? Do you dig deeper, or do you stand and face what's coming? This isn't a movie. This isn't fiction. This was the reality for Franklin J. Kneller during the siege of Bastogne in the brutal winter of 1944. Welcome to POV World War II. I'm your host, Fernando Prieto, and today we're taking you on an extraordinary journey through the Second World War as experienced by one young man from New Jersey. From the depths of the Great Depression to the classrooms of an Army engineering program. From the freezing foxholes of Bastogne to a hospital bed in Paris where a doctor wants to amputate his toes. You'll experience the war through Frank Kneller's eyes. What does it mean to go from studying advanced equations in a Brooklyn classroom to fighting for your life in a frozen Belgian forest? All in a matter of weeks. What happens to a man when he transitions from absolute terror to a feeling of invincibility? And what happens when his own comrades decide he's gone too far? How does a young paratrooper cope when the supplies run out, the temperature drops to 10 below, and the only certainty is that the enemy is closing in from every direction? Hold on tight. This is Frank's story. Today, it's yours. You're growing up in the Oranges. Orange, East Orange, Irvington. The small working-class towns of northern New Jersey. Your grandparents came over from Germany, part of that great wave of immigrants who found work with outfits like public service, doing the manual labor that kept the lights on and the gas flowing. They'd saved a little money, bought a few shares of stock, tried to build something in the new country. Then the banks close. You're a small boy and you can feel it, the bleakness that settles over your household like a fog. Your family sells their public service stock just to eat, pulling out cash they'd never normally touch. Your father takes one job after another, selling, banks, roofing materials, anything he can find. Eventually he goes away to the Civilian Conservation Corps, earning $30 a month, 25 of it sent straight home to the family, because even that pittance is better than nothing. Can you imagine it? You're a kid in the 1930s, and your family moves constantly. Orange to Irvington, Irvington to New York, back to East Orange, back to New York, back to Irvington, back again, 10, maybe 11 different grammar schools. You barely unpack before you're packing again. You never own a car. Your mother eventually remarries, and things stabilize a little. But the instability of those Depression years leaves its mark. Your parents carry a weight beyond poverty. They're German Americans, and the scars of the First World War haven't healed. They watched what happened to people who read German-language newspapers on the bus, the suspicious looks, the cold shoulders. So they made a decision. No German in the house. They won't teach you the language. They won't have the German paper. They speak it to each other only when they don't want you to understand. A secret code between husband and wife. They want to be Americans, fully and completely. And if that means cutting off a piece of their heritage, so be it. Your father knows something about war. He served in the Navy during the Spanish-American War, sailed out to the Philippines around 1899, and later enlisted in the Army as part of Pershing's expedition into Mexico, though he came back before the force ever got there. He has a saying he likes to repeat: when the men were made of steel and the ships were made of wood, now the ships are made of steel and the men are not too strong. It always gets a laugh. But behind the joke, there's pride, and maybe a warning about what's to come. You end up at Clifford J. Scott High School in East Orange. You play football, you deliver newspapers for $1 a week, and you can still remember the indignity of the boss taking out 1 penny for Social Security. A brand new concept that seems frankly absurd when you're making $1. You take every scientific course available, loading up on credits so that no college can ever tell you you're short on prerequisites. You're determined. College isn't just a dream, it's a plan. Maybe NYU for journalism, paying as you go at night, maybe a scholarship to Columbia. Then comes a Sunday afternoon in a candy store. You're in high school, hanging out with friends, and suddenly the news comes crackling through. Pearl Harbor has been attacked. The next day, you sit in the auditorium at Scott High School and listen to President Roosevelt's Day of Infamy speech over the radio.
In infamy.
Everything changes in a moment. The world you've been preparing for no longer exists. But you're still young, still a minor. There's school to finish. You take the extra year, and on your 18th birthday in March 1943, you walk down to the draft board and register right on time, like reporting for a birthday present from Uncle Sam. You take the blood test. They defer you to finish school. Your draft board is made up of neighbors, people who know you. And when graduation comes, they give the boys an extra month because everyone knows you're supposed to stay out all night celebrating, and nobody wants you showing up blurry-eyed at the induction center. 1 month after graduation, in July of 1943, you're in. Do you feel ready? Do you feel afraid? Or has some part of you known all along that this moment has been approaching since that Sunday in the candy store, and you've simply been waiting for it to arrive? Fort Dix, New Jersey. A couple of days for shots and paperwork, and then you're shipped south to Fort Benning, Georgia. The train ride is something. You'll remember the pot-bellied stove sitting in the center of the car, completely unnecessary in the sweltering heat. A relic from another era. Later, going back from Benning to Atlanta will take 3 days to cover 100 miles. A slow, stinking shuttle that rocks back and forth on its tracks. Good stories may exist about wartime trains in the 1940s, but you don't know any. You've qualified for the Army Specialized Training Program, ASTP. The Army has decided it needs engineers, and your test scores are high enough. You also qualified for the Navy's V-12 program, but you don't much appreciate the sea and you're worried about your eyes, so the Army it is. At Fort Benning, basic training is rigorous but manageable. The drill sergeants are chosen carefully, young lieutenants who know that screwing up means getting shipped overseas themselves. They treat you like you're young, which you are, but they're competent and thorough. You can't complain. One lieutenant does you a favor, pulling strings to get you assigned to St. John's University in Brooklyn for your engineering studies, close to home. You're with an interesting mix of men, some from Nevada who can shoot like nobody's business, Some Seventh-day Adventists who disappear once they get their religious identification processed. Guys from New Jersey and New York mostly. The entry requirement is a score of 115 on the Army's aptitude test. So these aren't what you'll later call the backwoods types. They're fellas interested in college, sharp, and ambitious. In Georgia, you make a friend, a French-American kid whose father married a French woman during the First World War. He knows whiskey a little too well, puts rye in his Coke, and one night in town, he gets so drunk he can't speak anything but French. You, who don't know a word of French, end up carrying him over your shoulder back to camp. The MP's wisely looking the other way while he screams about something. You later learn he'd lost his dentures. Sometimes, on training hikes, he'd put whiskey in his canteen. A great example of how not to soldier. But then comes ASTP at St. John's, and the pace is staggering. The joke is that if you drop a book, you've missed 3 weeks' work. They're trying to turn you into an engineer in 2 or 3 years. Maybe to go reconstruct Germany after the war. That's the pitch anyway. Classrooms and sleeping quarters are in the same building. You study and study and study. The washout rate is brutal. So many fail that you hold regular spaghetti dinners for the ones who get thrown out. A kind of farewell supper. Nobody calls them quitters because everyone agrees the program is just that hard. You characteristically start a newspaper. Univoice City, you call it. The company commander doesn't have anyone to handle office work, so you take that on too, coming in on weekends. One late Saturday afternoon, you answer the phone, and there it is, the announcement that the program is being shut down. It hits like a gut punch. The Army has done its calculations for the post-invasion world and decided it needs infantry bodies more than it needs engineers. The entire ASTP is being collapsed. All those sharp, college-bound young men sent straight to infantry divisions. How would you take this news? The promise of education, of a path to something beyond the war, suddenly yanked away. The future you were building in that cramped Brooklyn classroom, gone in a single phone call. What replaces it isn't a lecture hall. It's a foxhole. From the nice post in Brooklyn, you go straight to Louisiana for maneuvers with an infantry division. And the contrast could not be more brutal. This is a National Guard outfit, and you can tell immediately that something is wrong. The officers don't stand up straight. They can't answer questions. They don't look you in the eye. Things don't run right. You think about the Depression-era origins of these National Guard units, the lack of funding for equipment and training, and you know these men are not ready for what's coming. You're in heavy weapons now, hauling bipods through the Louisiana mud. It rains so hard that you sleep sitting up against a tree to keep from drowning. After 5 or 6 days of continuous field problems, you get a brief rest, then start the next exercise. You buy as many Milky Way bars as you can and stuff them into your bandoliers. 24 fit, because the field rations are terrible, and candy is the only reliable fuel. During rest periods, you build fires on tree stumps that burn half the night, and you play blackjack until you've lost 3 months' pay. But here's the thing you don't appreciate yet. This misery is a gift. The rain, the exhaustion, the sleeping against trees. It's the best preparation you could get, because when you finally reach an actual battlefield, everything will seem simpler by comparison. The maneuvers trained your body and your mind for sustained discomfort in ways classroom engineering never could. You try to get out of the National Guard unit. There's an incident with passes. A drunken sergeant throws unsigned passes at you, and you realize the unit's leadership is falling apart. You grab 5 guys and march straight to the commanding officer, a West Pointer, a colonel. You wake him up. You tell him you've got men about to go AWOL. The colonel gives you a 5-day pass, sends the others out too, and tells you not to worry. They do anything to you, come back to see me. When you return, every officer and the top sergeant are gone. The colonel knew he had a problem, and you were the straw that broke it open. Your instincts about this unit were right. Later, you'll learn that when they got into combat, they had exactly the difficulties you anticipated. Eventually, you ship out. Camp Meade for staging, then Camp Kilmer in New Jersey. Kilmer is cold and miserable, even though it's September, and everyone spends their last stateside dollars. Then you board a Dutch liner crammed with 8,000 men. The Jamaican cooks are being paid 30 cents a day, but you'd say they're worth about 5. For the most part, you can't eat. Your bunk gives you 2.5 feet to turn over. The only saving grace is oranges. You live on them for the entire crossing. Being the pragmatist you are, you head up to the promenade deck as soon as the ship pulls out and hunt through the orders someone left lying around. You want to know where you're going. With your luck, you figure it'll be the Far East. But no, it's Europe. You feel something close to relief. Scotland, then a train to a replacement depot outside London. You're no longer with any particular unit. You're a replacement now, a body to be plugged into whatever outfit needs men. At the depot, there are no passes, but everyone knows which fence is open, and the guard conveniently looks away. So you ride the trains into London. The English let soldiers ride for free. And you discover wartime London under German rocket fire. Do you hear that? A distant rumble, then silence, then a massive explosion somewhere across the city. A V-2 rocket. You're sitting in a pub with a pint of beer. 20 cents, a shilling, and the bomb hits. And you look at your beer, and you look at the other soldiers, and you just keep drinking. There's nowhere to run. You don't know where the next one will land. Running for cover might mean running right into it. So the standard operating procedure, as you put it, is to look at each other and joke. You never once visit a bomb shelter. You only see London in the dark, because by the time you sneak out of camp, it's nighttime, and the blackout has the city wrapped in shadow. Sometimes you miss the last train and walk 7 miles back through the moors, the steam rising from the ground around you. It's like a Sherlock Holmes movie, and you're alone in it, picking your way back through the English countryside in the pitch dark. But you haven't come this far to sit in a replacement depot. You want the Airborne. When the 101st Airborne Division sends representatives looking for volunteers, your hand goes up. There's one problem. Well, 2. You wear glasses, and you're heavy. Not the typical paratrooper build, but you're resourceful. The eye exam comes first. You study that chart, you memorize it. The doctor tells you to step back, relax, take your time. You read it off perfectly. There's an unspoken deal between you and that doctor, an understanding that you want this badly enough to earn the benefit of the doubt. Jump training is at Chilton in England, a crash course, about 2 weeks of running and packing chutes, followed by 5 jumps on the final day. The jump masters want to deliver the same quality of training as Fort Benning, compressed into a fraction of the time. They start with about 100 men. They'll finish with maybe 40. Your first jump. What's it like? You pass out. Most men do, you're told. From infancy, your body has learned not to jump from high places. Everything in you rebels against stepping into empty air. The rushing sensation overwhelms your senses, and you go blank. Then your chute opens, and you come back to yourself, floating above the English countryside, alive. After that first one, it's manageable. But because you're heavier than the typical paratrooper, you fall fast. They put you at the end of the stick, and once, you land on another man's chute. You have to walk off it, literally walk across the silk canopy. in midair until the wind catches your own chute again. A funny feeling, walking on air, but if you move fast, it works. As you pass the stockade during training, someone tells you those men inside refused to jump on D-Day or during the Holland operation in September. They wouldn't go. And something hardens inside you. They didn't jump, you think. And damn it, I'm gonna jump. In October 1944, you're assigned to the 101st Airborne Division. You arrive at Quonset huts in a forest somewhere in England. The division has already jumped on D-Day and fought through Holland. And these men carry that experience in the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they watch. You're a replacement, fresh, untested, and they know it. But here's what surprises you. They take care of you. For those first days, the veterans teach you. They're easygoing about it. Don't worry, do this, do that. More like older brothers showing you the ropes than any formal instruction. They watch out for you. This kid who's a little younger than most of them. The esprit de corps is unlike anything you've experienced in the army. These men have been through France and Holland together. And the bond between them is a force you can almost touch. You can feel it. For a brief, surreal period, you almost go to Holland. You spend 2 full days sitting under the wing of an airplane, loaded up and ready, waiting to fly into the middle of Operation Market Garden as replacements, to be dropped right into foxholes. Then it's called off. You go back to your huts. You wait. Thanksgiving comes, and you're on guard duty. You swapped with a guy who wanted to do KP. Being up early means you're first in line when they bring out fresh eggs, specially made for the holiday. You eat 18 eggs. 18. You haven't had fresh eggs in over a month, and nobody's going to stop you. The division returns from Holland to Mourmelon, France. You fly over on C-47s and settle into a French army camp the Germans had been using. Quonset-type huts that the enemy vacated a few months earlier. Their beer is still there, and it's good. You have a second Thanksgiving. For a few precious weeks, life is almost calm. Then, on the night of December 17th, everything changes. You're shaken out of bed in the darkness. Get ready to leave. Nobody knows what's happening, only that the Germans are coming through. The word spreads in fragments. A massive offensive, a breakthrough in the Ardennes. Units being overrun, trucks barrel down the street, and men are literally throwing equipment off the back. Grab whatever you can. You don't have complete gear. You don't have the proper shoes. You're a size 13, and you've been waiting for them to arrive since Mourmelon. A lieutenant tells you that you don't have to go. You don't have the proper footwear. What do? You can stay behind, safe, warm, with an official excuse. Nobody could blame you. Or you could climb on that truck with the men who took care of you, the men who taught you, the men you've been eating stolen eggs and drinking leftover German beer with for weeks. You say, I must go. The division assembles in a matter of hours, a mobilization in record time. From rest to road march, almost instantly. 40, 50 men are crammed onto each truck. The trucks are open and freezing cold. It's nighttime. As you barrel through the French countryside, you pass something that makes the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. The outlines of trenches from the First World War, filled in over the decades but still visible in the earth. You stare at them and think one thing. You don't want to end up in trenches. You arrive at Bastogne. Word comes that the 82nd Airborne is heading north to meet the Germans at Werbemont. It's daylight now, after being up all night. You move forward, dig in, move again, dig in again. Finally, you find a place to stay. And about 5 or 10 hours later, the Germans arrive. You've moved through Bastogne and settled into positions outside the village of Foy. You'll come to know every barn, every house in that village, going in and out so many times that the layout is burned into your memory. On one attack, you'll have to mouse hole through a house wall, blow or bash through the interior walls to advance from room to room without exposing yourself to fire in the streets. But right now, in these first hours, you're still learning what it means to be in combat. The Germans come in and you're frightened, deeply, honestly frightened. You try to mask it. You toss a coin, point at the advancing enemy, joke with the men around you. That one's mine. You're acting, and you know it. Then the big shells start landing. Germans bring up their tanks, and the fear intensifies into a current that makes your hands shake and your thoughts scatter. You're defending a troop carrier, a vehicle that attracts every round the enemy has. The joke that's not really a joke circulates through the foxholes. Where am I going to run? We're surrounded. Can you feel it? That particular terror of being encircled, knowing there's no rear area, no safe direction, no line of retreat. Every horizon belongs to the enemy. The only ground that's yours is the frozen dirt you're standing on. And the supplies are running out. Food is practically non-existent. Ammunition is critically low. Your artillery reports with grim precision. We've got 12 more rounds. Where do you want them? 12 rounds. That's not a fire mission. That's a farewell. The cold is savage. 10 degrees below zero. Your feet, crammed into boots that were never the right size, freeze quickly. First there's pain, sharp, burning pain that makes every step agony. Then the pain stops. And that's when the real trouble begins. Because when your feet stop hurting, it means the tissue is dying. They drop supplies when they can, galoshes, size 17, comically huge, and socks. You pull on 4 pairs of socks and jam your frozen feet into those enormous shoes. And you keep moving, because stopping means dying. The Germans have overrun your division's field hospital, capturing nearly the entire medical company in the first days of the battle. Medical care is virtually non-existent. If you're wounded in this cold, you die. That's the grim calculus. When the doctors do operate, the story goes, they give the wounded man a whole bottle of liquor and get to work. No proper anesthesia, no sterile operating room, just booze and courage and a prayer. How do you take that in when you know there's no hospital behind you, no safe haven to fall back to if you're hit? In a strange way, it simplifies things. You don't have to worry about getting evacuated, because evacuation isn't an option. There's only forward and here. Around you, men are dying. You hear the stories filtering through the foxhole network. The Germans crept in during the night and killed 16 men in their sleep, men who let exhaustion overwhelm vigilance. After hearing that, you don't want to sleep, but your body is shutting down. For the first 3 days, you're awake nearly around the clock. At one point, someone calls for you to go out on patrol, and a corporal, maybe a sergeant, speaks up. Hey, Frank's done enough. Let him sleep. You hear this half-conscious, and you're grateful. That patrol goes out and is never seen again, never found. To this day, as far as you know, those men vanished into the ice-locked woods outside Bastogne. Would you have been among them? The thought sits with you for the rest of your life. But the veterans of the 101st are remarkable. They've been through D-Day and Holland, and they carry a spirit that defies the circumstances. They teach you to scavenge, to grab potatoes from outpost areas, to kill cattle that are already half dead from shrapnel, to find food where there is none. It's a work-together arrangement, a survival pact sealed by shared misery. And after Bastogne, you'll say it plainly. You couldn't touch these men. The unit cohesion was something beyond anything you'd encountered in any unit anywhere. The bodies pile up. There are no body bags, not out here, not in this cold. The dead are arranged with terrible efficiency, 3 across one way, 3 the other way, frozen stiff in the winter air. You have to pass them on the way to your position. These rigid human shapes that were your companions days or hours ago. It affects you. You don't pretend otherwise. The snow, paradoxically, is both your enemy and your savior. When it falls, visibility is too poor for the Germans to mount their full assault. They're poised to come in with everything they have, and the snow holds them back. But the snow also grounds the Army Air Force. No planes can fly, which means no resupply, no air cover, no bombs on the German positions. It's a terrible bargain. The same weather that keeps you alive keeps you starving. When the skies finally clear, the equation flips. The Air Force roars overhead, dropping supplies and hammering the Germans from above. If you control the sky, you control everything. That's what you're told, and you believe it now. But the Germans have captured some of your own Sherman tanks, and you can't trust any friendly-looking vehicle until you've confirmed who's inside. The solution is baseball. But here's the irony. You look German. Your grandparents came from Germany, and you don't know baseball. If someone asked you a question about the World Series, you'd probably fail your own Army's security test. You stay close to the men who know you, because wandering off alone could get you shot by your own side. A transformation takes hold of you during the siege, one you don't fully understand, even years later. For the first 10 days, fear owns you completely. You know you're destructible. Every explosion confirms it. Every casualty proves it. And then it flips completely. You go from believing you're going to die at any moment to believing that nothing can hurt you. From complete vulnerability to total invincibility. It's not rational, you know that. But the feeling is overwhelming, and it changes the way you operate. You spot a small knoll near your position, good ground for an observation post, a place where you can watch the German lines and direct fire. You volunteer to set it up. You take telephone wire, crawling out to the knoll and stringing a line back to your position. They hand you a weapon for self-defense, a submachine gun, the one type of firearm in the entire American arsenal you never qualified on or even handled. What do I do with this, you ask? The answer is typically direct. It goes to your right when you shoot it. You set up the telephone at the outpost, feeling like you're really accomplishing something. You're alone out there, exposed, but you're feeding intelligence back to the line. What you don't know is that the Germans are fully aware of you. A German observer is sitting high in a tree, watching your every move. Your own men know more than you do. They're letting you play this out, waiting to see what happens. And what happens is this. Just as the Germans decide you're nearly finished setting up, they unleash a bombardment on your position. But fortune has a dark sense of humor. You've been eating sea ration cheese for days, 2 or 3 times a day, nothing else. And at the exact moment the shells start falling, you've stepped away to relieve yourself. Your pants are down in the snow when the explosions begin. Somehow you survive. The Army, true to form, looks at the bigger picture. They note your knoll as an official outpost. About a week later, shortly after Patton's armor punches a narrow hole through the German lines to lift the worst of the siege, command comes up to inspect your position. General McAuliffe himself, the man who answered the surrender demand with a single word, nuts, arrives along with General Taylor, who's just returned from the States. They're told there's an outpost out there. Your men tell you not to come out of the foxhole when the generals arrive, because you haven't shaved. You're young and you refuse to shave in ice-cold water. But you can't keep your mouth shut. It's 4 o'clock, bombardment time. You're gonna be sorry, fellas, don't go there. They're going to bombard you. The generals run out anyway. Right on cue, the shells start falling. They come running back. And you, from your foxhole, scream what every private in every army has dreamed of screaming at every general since the dawn of warfare. I told you so! I told you so! Are you losing your mind? Are you finding it? The line between courage and recklessness blurs in combat, and you're dancing right along it. You start singing in the mornings. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a feeling everything's coming my way. Belting it out from your foxhole while German snipers scan the tree line. Christmas arrives, and with it, a memory from a movie you saw in the 1930s. Balalaika, with Nelson Eddy playing a Cossack, who sang Silent Night in German across the trenches, and the enemy soldiers sang it back. That scene stuck with you. Enemies sharing a hymn across the killing ground. You'd thought about it for years. If you were ever in battle on Christmas, you'd try it. So you sing. Standing in the frozen darkness of a Belgian forest, surrounded by the enemy, you sing Silent Night. The guns go quiet for a moment. The world seems to hold its breath. A bullet passes between you and the man standing next to you. You turn to each other. That came in my left ear, you say. That came in my right ear, he says. The bullet threaded the gap between your two heads. The piece of Christmas is shattered. You're furious. You grab the telephone, the one you strung out to the outpost, and call for artillery fire. Your guns are zeroed in on the German positions, and you request shells. What comes back is probably phosphorus. The rounds land among the German positions, and you watch in horror as enemy soldiers run screaming through the snow, their backs on fire. The guilt hits you instantly. It doesn't matter that they just tried to kill you. It doesn't matter that they're the enemy. You sang Silent Night, and they answered with a bullet. And you answered the bullet with fire that set men ablaze. The calculus of war doesn't leave room for guilt, but the guilt comes anyway, and it stays. Do you question what you've done? Or do you push it down, bury it beneath the immediate needs of survival? There's no time to process this. There's never time. At another point during the siege, you're manning an outpost in a house, ground floor, at the top of the stairs to the cellar, watching a German outpost house about 100 yards away. It's maddening. Smoke is curling from their chimney. They're warm. They're comfortable. You're freezing and starving. You call for artillery on the house. Your request gets routed to an Air Force liaison officer who's parachuted into surrounding Bastogne to coordinate with fighter pilots overhead. 2 or 3 bombs drop, but they're not close enough. You talk directly to the pilot, guiding him in. Drop between our house and their house. The one with the smoking chimney. The pilot, who sounds like he won't be celebrating his 21st birthday for another year, responds with breezy confidence. He'll put the next bomb right down the chimney. The next bomb lands closer to you than to the Germans. The explosion lifts you off the ground and hurls you down the cellar steps. The telephone's still clutched in your hand, the wire snapping as you tumble. You land in a heap at the bottom, ears ringing, covered in dust but alive. Obviously, you're in no position to inform the pilot that he didn't quite manage to put it down the chimney. Meanwhile, word passes through the unit that everyone should remove their dog tags. If you're overrun and captured, the Germans will use the tags to identify Jewish soldiers. The thought is chilling. After a period of worry, you make your own decision. You put 1 dog tag in each boot, so that if the worst happens, Graves registration can at least identify your body. Then comes the German ultimatum, delivered under a flag of truce on December 22nd by 2 German officers who approached the American lines near the village of Marvi. They had already captured an American field hospital during the first days of battle, and now they demand surrender, warning of total annihilation. This is when McAuliffe delivers his famous reply, "Nuts." You hear the message come through on the telephone line you set up at the outpost, listening to the broadcasts and messages crackling through. While the ceasefire holds, you're not resting. You're out scavenging for ammunition, crawling through the frozen landscape, checking abandoned positions, collecting every round you can find. Every bullet is precious. The Christmas packages never arrive. You lie in your foxhole one night and hear a truck come up the road, the only vehicle moving that night. It keeps going, doesn't stop, rolls right through your line and hits a mine near the German positions. There are your Christmas packages, scattered in a minefield. You want them badly, but you don't volunteer to go get them. You wait for somebody else to, but nobody does. Food is whatever you can find. Your unit kills a pig. Farmers in the group try to prepare it, though no one quite knows the proper technique. You kill chickens and try to cook them in a pail. And then a bombardment starts, and the chickens fill with shrapnel. Even your meals are trying to kill you. A chaplain comes up to the lines around Christmas, Roman Catholic, offering Mass and Holy Communion. The snow is falling, and no one knows how much longer they'll be alive, and whether they'll end up prisoners. The Germans have food, equipment, ammunition. They outnumber you heavily, 3, 4, maybe 5 to 1 in places. And back home, the news is everywhere. Radio bulletins, headlines in every paper, naming Bastogne, naming the 101st Airborne, telling the country that the Screaming Eagles are surrounded and holding on. Your mother hears this. She knows your division. She knows you're there. You'd written to her before, "Don't worry, I'll stay safe." Now the whole country is praying for you. What does it feel like to be the subject of a nation's prayers? You don't know. You're too busy trying to stay alive. The platoon that started with 40 men is melting away. Every firefight, every bombardment, every freezing night takes more of them. 7 men remain, then 5, then fewer. Your companions start to worry about you, not about your safety, about your state of mind. That transformation from frightened replacement to invincible warrior has gone further than anyone is comfortable with. Your comrades think you're trying to win the war all by yourself. One day they make a decision for you. They take your rifle and lean it against a tree, and they send you back to see the doctor. How do you feel in that moment? Betrayed? Relieved? Confused? The men you trust most in the world have just told you, in the most direct way possible, that you've crossed a line. Not a line of cowardice, a line of recklessness. They care about you enough to pull you back from the edge. Eventually, the platoon is down to 2 men, you and Kelly. Just the 2 of you, running your own war. If an officer from battalion happens to find you during an attack, he takes command. Otherwise, it's Frank and Kelly, holding a piece of the line that once required 40 soldiers. And then even that becomes unsustainable. One night while rushing to a new position where the Germans are attacking, you're digging a foxhole at a dead sprint. Your backside up in the air, your entrenching tool biting into earth that feels like concrete. And a burst of fire slices through the tree directly above you. 2 inches higher, and you'd be dead. The tree is cut clean through at the level of your back. You dig faster than you've ever dug in your life, and you don't sleep that night. Bullets keep coming in, and all you can do is hug the ground and wait for dawn. You and Kelly finally lean your rifles against a tree and walk back. You've had enough. Not enough in the way of cowardice, enough in the way of mathematics. 2 men can't hold a platoon's position against a German army. The pincers are going out on either side, and you're in the center, exposed and exhausted. But you're worse off than Kelly. Your feet, those feet you've been cramming into boots that don't fit and oversized galoshes, are frozen black. When you reach a first aid tent belonging to another outfit, the doctor cuts away the first pair of socks. They're frozen solid. He can't bend them. He cuts the second pair, still frozen. By the last pair, the socks are moist, pliable. There's still some life in the tissue beneath. I've been walking on those feet, you say. The doctor looks at you for a long moment and replies, no, you've been walking on your heart. Think about that. Miles of icebound Belgian woodland, days of combat, nights of digging foxholes and dodging shells, all of it on feet that were, medically speaking, dead. What kept you upright wasn't nerve endings or muscle tissue. It was something that doctors couldn't measure. They try to fly you out, but the weather won't cooperate. You wait on a litter in a tent, day after day, watching for a break in the clouds. When it does come, they send you to the next station in the evacuation chain. You wake up in a hospital, a VD ward of all places. There aren't enough beds anywhere else. The men in the VD ward are wonderful to you. You're the only one there who isn't ambulatory, and they can see what the war has done to you. They carry you to the bathroom. They look after you. You're taking 18 sulfa pills an hour, probably pneumonia on top of everything else, because you'd been smoking in the frozen air for weeks. You're so thin you can count every rib, and someone later says they could practically see your backbone. A general comes through the ward, and you make one request: food. We need food. I'm hungry. The general makes it happen. Warmed sea rations every night at 9 o'clock. It's not a gourmet meal, but after weeks of scavenging frozen potatoes and shrapnel-studded chickens, it feels like salvation. By train, you reach Paris, the American hospital, which has been converted to a military facility. And there, a doctor examines your feet and delivers his verdict. Those blackened toes are gone. He wants to operate the next day. You refuse. You argue. You fight harder than you fought at Bastogne because this is your body and you're not giving up any part of it without a fight. You beg for one more week. The doctor knows the risk. If the dead tissue turns septic, they won't just take toes. They'll take the foot or the leg. But you won't relent. And finally, he agrees. One more week. Whether the week made the difference or whether the toes would have survived anyway, you're not sure. But you keep your toes. You keep your feet. The argument with that surgeon in Paris is one of the biggest fights of your life, and it's one you win. From Paris, you go to Cherbourg, then by hospital ship to England. Then in mid-May 1945, you're put on a convoy bound for the United States. One of the first hospital convoys to arrive in New York after VE Day. Your ship enters New York Harbor. The fireboats are out, spraying red, white, and blue water into the sky. The convoy runs up its flags, and the city that sent you to war welcomes you home. You arrive in Brooklyn, the same borough where you studied engineering at St. John's a lifetime ago. Can you feel it? The salt air of New York Harbor, the cheering crowds on the shore, the impossible reality that you've survived, that the winter timber of the Ardennes and the burning phosphorus and the bullet zipping past your ear are behind you now, and ahead is what? What comes next? When the war that defined every waking hour is over. A hospital counselor takes an interest in you. He's young, sharp, and he can see that you need to get moving. He originally wants to send you to Rollins College in Florida. Play tennis, find the girls. Their fathers have money. He even arranges a ticket. But then he checks around, and something clicks. Rutgers, in New Brunswick, New Jersey. They have a journalism program. He gets you discharged early, September 5th. You take the SAT around September 12th. By the end of the month, you're playing varsity football. Imagine that, a man classified as 50% disabled, whose feet were frozen black less than a year ago, who was taking 18 sulfa pills an hour in a VD ward, is playing college football. Your VA counselor puts it diplomatically. Frank, I don't think you can be 50% disabled and play varsity football. Your playing ability, you later admit, confirms his point. The GI Bill is everything. Without it, college would be impossible. Rutgers in 1945 is small, about 500 students, swelling with returning veterans. You know just about everybody. If not by name, then enough to wave. You live in Winant's Hall, the oldest dormitory on campus. Football players sneak upstairs to your room to smoke where the coach can't see them. You join Zeta Psi fraternity, but you don't sleep upstairs in the cold attic with the others. Your feet still bother you. You get a bed in a proper room, a small concession to the war that still lives in your body. When sophomores try to enforce the hazing rituals, paddling the new men, the returning veterans meet them with flat stares. Nobody paddles you much. The campus has women from Douglas College at the weekends, and your journalism class is the only one with female students. You take a job as an orderly at Middlesex County Hospital, working nights, mostly Saturdays, and the doctors are so tired from long shifts that you end up doing some of their work. That's where you meet your wife, a nursing student in training. Rutgers becomes the bridge between what you were and what you'll become. The war doesn't leave you. It never entirely does, but it recedes. Pushed back by lectures and football games and fraternity dinners and a girl in a nurse's uniform who catches your eye in a hospital corridor. You graduate in 1949, 4 years after walking out of the winter woods with blackened feet and an empty rifle. The Depression kid from the Oranges, the ASTP washout, the replacement paratrooper who sang Silent Night at Bastogne. He becomes a college graduate, a husband, a man with a future. And the war becomes something you carry quietly, the way you carry a scar beneath your shirt. It's there, it's always there, but it doesn't have to define every day that comes after. In later years, when you travel the world for business, when your hotel is hit in Ecuador, when you live through coups in Nigeria and Haiti and disturbances in Laos, none of it rattles you the way it might rattle someone else. Bastogne inoculated you against ordinary fear. You were frightened for 10 days, and then you became indestructible. And though the feeling of indestructibility eventually faded into something more like resilience, the core of it never left. You don't learn the full scope of the Battle of the Bulge until the mid-1980s, when a business trip takes you to Luxembourg, and you visit the new Military History Museum in Diekirch. Walking through the exhibits, day 1, day 2, day 3, narrated in 3 languages, the pieces finally fit together. All those fragments of experience, all those isolated moments of terror and cold and dark humor suddenly have a shape. You didn't know the battle while you were fighting it. You only knew your foxhole and the man beside you and whether you had enough ammunition to survive the next hour. What does it mean to walk on your heart? It means continuing when every rational measure says you should stop. It means cramming dead feet into boots that don't fit and oversized rubber overshoes and marching through a forest at 10 below zero. Not because your body can take it, but because the men beside you need you to. It means singing Silent Night in a combat zone because somewhere inside you, beneath the fear and the cold and the guilt, There's still a belief that humanity can bridge even the darkest divide, even if a sniper's bullet is the only answer you get. Frank Kneller went to war as a teenager from East Orange, New Jersey, a Depression kid with a football player's build and a journalist's curiosity. He wanted to go to college. Instead, the Army sent him to Fort Benning, to St. John's University, to Louisiana, to Scotland, to a replacement depot outside London, where he memorized an eye chart to pass his airborne physical. He jumped out of airplanes. He walked off another man's chute in midair. He ate 18 eggs on Thanksgiving and days upon days of nothing but sea-ration cheese at Bastogne. He watched his platoon shrink from 40 men to 7 to 2. He set up an outpost that drew a German bombardment while he was indisposed in the snow. He told generals, "I told you so," and called in artillery fire on Christmas, and argued with a surgeon in Paris to save his own toes. He came home on a hospital ship and played football a few months later. Because Frank Kneller did not understand the concept of impossibility. He wasn't a general, he wasn't a strategist. He was a paratrooper who arrived at Bastogne just in time for the worst of it. His war lasted a matter of weeks in actual combat, but those weeks contained enough fear, enough cold, enough courage, and enough dark comedy to fill a lifetime. The doctor at the aid station was right. When the bones freeze and the nerves die and the tissue turns black, what keeps a man upright isn't anatomy. It's something no surgeon can cut out. Something that can't be amputated in a Paris hospital or worn away by decades of distance. Franklin Kneller walked on his heart, and he never stopped. This has been the story of Franklin J. Kneller, one soldier among millions. May we never forget. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a positive review or rating. It actually makes a huge difference in helping people find these stories and only takes a few seconds. This story can be shared thanks to a partnership with the Rutgers University Oral History Archives. If you've got a story you'd like their help in sharing, visit oralhistory.rutgers.edu. That's oralhistory.rutgers.edu. Visit povworldwar2.com for podcast updates and more. That's povww2.com. I'm Fernando Prieto. Thanks again for listening.